This is Kerrigan & Company. Did you know that more than 90% of cyber attacks can be prevented? Focus Technology helps organizations create a cybersecurity framework to minimize your risk of being attacked. Let Focus Technology's certified team conduct an assessment to determine where the gaps are in your organization, no matter how big or small your company is. Utilizing the industry's best tools, Focus Technology's security operations team will monitor and stop bad actors before it's too late. Contact Focus Technology today at focustsi.com and secure your company's most valuable assets. That's focustsi.com. A&B Burger in Beverly and A&B Kitchen and Bar in Boston are redefining guest expectations of a casual restaurant. Both A&B restaurant locations are focused on hospitality, creative menus, and delicious food and drinks. Now, I've been to both restaurants many times and loved everything I've tried. Get to A&B Burger on Cabot Street in Beverly or head across the street from our studio at the TD Garden to A&B Kitchen and Bar in Boston today and experience the A&B difference yourself. I promise you're going to love it. Hi, everybody. This is Kim Kerrigan. Keeping me company today is one of Boston's most popular media personalities, and I'm so happy she's here. It's Kerrigan & Company.
Kerrigan & Company is here for you. Yes, Kerrigan & Company is here for you.
Welcome, everybody, to Kerrigan & Company. Great to have you with us today. Of course, brought to us by A&B Burger. Hey, if you're down by the Garden during the playoffs, be sure you check out A&B Kitchen and Bar. Such a fun place to go before the game, or maybe you're not going to the game and you just want to watch it with friends. It's the perfect place to go, so be sure you check it out. All right. I am so honored to have my co-host who's keeping me company today with me, an old friend I've known for a long time. She's not old. We've just known each other for a long time. Stephanos from WCVB. I always hate it when people go, oh, my old friend.
No, but I am your old friend, and I am your old friend. Come on now. We've known each other a long time. Hi, Kim.
It's so good to have you here.
You look like $50 million.
Oh, thank you very much.
Wow.
I'm going to give you 10 minutes to stop that.
Well, I'm going to tell you those shoes are everything.
Yes, I'm wearing
she shows them. You look amazing.
Thank
this
you
is such
so
a pleasure
much.
to be here with
I'm
you.
so glad that you are here. You walked in and you said, wow, this is isn't it cool? It's a fun place.
The real deal.
Yeah, it's
with
fun.
Lights and this and
it's
fun. Is the Garden?
Yeah, and we're here at the Garden where, of course, this is the center of the world right now.
We're both wearing our Celtic screens.
We are.
Let's hope that
we are.
continues.
So much fun going on down here. So good to see you. You know, when I was getting ready for this, I did check it out because I couldn't remember, Maria. I mean, you and I obviously crossed over at Fox.
Right.
But I couldn't remember how long you'd been there because you'd been there before I arrived to do the morning show.
Right.
You were there 18 years,
18
kiddo.
years.
I don't know anybody else. Maybe Gene Levanchi. I don't have many contemporaries who have stayed in one station for 18 years.
It's a long time, and it was a privilege, and I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
And now I'm 8 years at Channel 5.
It's hard for me. First off, you started when you were like 10.
No, I didn't.
Well, you did.
I love you, Kim.
You did. But you know what is so amazing is that you've had the opportunity to work that long in your home market. You know, that's something else that doesn't happen very often. I mean, you're born and raised here, and that's amazing.
I'm such a local girl, and I watched local television when I was a kid. I watched Channel 5. Mm-hmm. I thought it was amazing, and I would watch it go on the air before I went to school in the Groveland school system. And just to be able to do it was incredible and a privilege. And it's still a privilege to this day.
Yeah.
It is. I love it.
Absolutely.
I love news. And I think it's so important to our communities that we continue this whole thing. Local news is important, Kim.
Well, you know what? I feel really strongly about that as well. You know, people talk all the time about the fact that news is going away because you have so many sources to get your news. And there's some truth in that. We know that, right? Mm-hmm. From the time you and I started to now,
it's so different.
I mean, the world is very, very different when it comes to communications. But having said that, I always tell people local news will never go away. You will always want to know what's happening in your neighborhood,
yes, it matters.
In your community. It does matter.
It matters, and people can choose where they want to watch that doesn't bother me. I want them to do that.
Sure.
We all have a choice, and we like this and we like that. But just to be able to continue to tell the stories of the people in our backyards, in our front yards, people we don't know, I love it.
Yeah.
I still love it.
Absolutely.
After all these years.
I get it. It's the connection to the audience that makes all the difference.
Right.
It really does.
And look at you,
it?
still connecting.
Yeah, it's important to me. I'm the same way. I feel very strongly about that. And the Boston audience has been very good to you, and they've been good to me.
They've been good to both of us. Thank you very much, Boston audience.
There, we've been very, very lucky. That's for sure. Talk to me a little bit about maybe some of your favorite interviews that you've done through the years.
This one is my number one.
Well, besides
at this
one.
moment, sitting in front of this beautiful woman, you and I have both done some crazy interviews. Yeah. David Ortiz, and I wanted to get something different from him.
Yeah.
And when I prepare for an interview, I just try to watch and read and learn everything I can about somebody, and I don't go in with an agenda.
Yes.
I just want to have conversations. Mm-hmm. And David Ortiz, you can talk to him about anything, right? And you can talk about baseball, but I asked him what his mother cooked for him. And he just stopped.
Never been asked that before, I bet.
Right. I mean, and most people will say that was a silly question. Why are you asking him that? But I got him to really feel. And then he talked about ceviche, and he talked about his mother. And then we went there. And so those are the interviews where I think, that was so meaningful. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was just something about his mother and the food she cooked. But it was more. It was just another window into this mega star.
Yeah.
Right? Things like that. People like that.
Absolutely. Those are the great interviews. They really are, because you do strip away all of the stardom and you get down to who the real person is. And I think that's so important.
Right. I interviewed Pedro Martinez, and I went to the Dominican, and it was incredible. He was just so Pedro. Not the superstar on the mound, not that. Someone who was part of that community.
Absolutely.
That he grew up in, that he wanted to give back to. And I know I'm saying sports stars, but there are so many other people.
Of course, absolutely.
That you just, it's the stories that people tell you that move you to a place where you think, okay, this is everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I love that stuff.
Absolutely. It's terrific. Yeah, I always said that some of my greatest interviews too were pumpkin farmers. They were right. They were just people like me, and it was just so great to hear their story, because everybody has a story, no two ways about that.
Yeah.
Today's show, I was really excited about, because we have 3 women, being you. A little bit later, everybody's going to see Joan Lunden is joining us, and then we're going to have the editor-in-chief of Boston Common Magazine with us. These are 3 very successful women who I know have had bumps along the way in their careers, but have made this look easy. And you certainly, Maria, are someone who has done that. There's always been a smile. It's always been positive. But I know it is not always easy. Talk to me about what you think some of the big challenges have been.
I forgot what a great interviewer you were. I don't like to talk about myself, Kim. Good question.
That's why you're here,
That
though.
was really good. It's not easy. And with the invention of social media, things have changed dramatically. We hate your hair. Why don't you get different clothes? Why don't you do this? Why do you talk so fast? Why? And I was this girl who grew up in Groveland, and I had beautiful parents, meaning inside and out, who said, "Oh, Maria, you're wonderful, and we love you." And my sister Nicole, and I grew up in a very positive universe, right? And I was fortunate to do that. Small town, but that's great. And I played tennis, and great job. And then you put yourself out there, and when you put yourself out there, you open yourself up to the way people feel, the way they react to you. And I tell you, it was so jarring at first. Believe me, I'm an old pro now.
Yeah. You get thick skin.
You get the thickest skin.
Or you can't survive
You
it.
cannot survive it.
Right.
And you realize that, you know what, Kim? When my mother died, I mean, you get this barrage of negativity from the public and positivity. People have been amazing. My mother died. And I stopped and I said, "Oh, these this is what matters. The things you're saying about me, you don't know me. That woman knew me.
That's right.
My family knows me, my husband, my kids, my friends. The noise shut off for me. And it reset me, and I realized what was really important. Yeah. And I think everybody should have a voice, and everybody should be able to say, I don't like that green outfit that you're wearing today, or whatever they want to say. But I didn't need to take it so personal.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. And I think there are those aha moments along the way, if you're lucky enough to have the kind of support that you've had in your life. You know, I feel terrible for people who maybe this has been their whole life, and their gratification comes from people's comments, and that's tough. It really is. Let me ask you about your kids. You've got 2.
I do.
You've got Isabella.
Yep.
And you've got Liam.
Good.
Right?
You're good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And how old are your kids, by the way?
Okay, they are 26 and 24, which is amazing. But, you know, I raised them working nights. We both have similar stories, but I raised them working nights at Fox with my husband. I couldn't have done it without him, because he's an artist who was at home with them. So I would get up in the morning, 6:45, do the breakfast, go over the homework, get them to the bus stop, all of those things, and then go back to sleep, because you're on TV. And look, you know, you can look tired, believe me. At my age, almost 60, I'm getting there. But it was everything. And on the weekends, or whenever I was with the children, no phones, or I was with the kids. Does that make sense to you?
You were standing where your feet were.
Yes, I was present.
Yes. Yes.
And I wasn't. And if you look, sometimes with breaking news, you can't help but look at your phones and your things. But I tried to, when I was there, be there.
Yeah. Yeah, the struggle that I think every working mom faces, there's no two ways about that, is just trying to be present with the kids when you are with them, because I think you have a certain level of guilt at times that you weren't with them for other things. How have they dealt with celebrity?
I think because I don't act like a celebrity, because I don't think of myself like that. But others do.
So they, you know, I've always. So I say this to you because I know. I remember when I was when I was still working in television, and Gracie was young, and we'd be in the grocery store, and people would stop me to talk to me, and Gracie kept saying, "Mom, why is everyone talking to you? Can we just keep going?" You know, and I thought to myself, I've never had a parent who
that's a good point,
you know, had this kind of recognition. What must it be like to be them? You know, my son went on to high school, and you know, people would say stuff about the boots that mom was wearing or whatever, you know, and it's a little bit strange.
Boots, let me just say, you had amazing boots.
Still love the boots. But I mean, your kids have probably had those same experiences.
And initially when they were younger, they would always say, do you know that person?
Right.
Who is that person? You don't know those people, right? But I think they realized that you try, and we're not perfect, but you try to be kind to everybody.
Right.
And I think that if you call that celebrity, I hope I look at it in a different way, that you're leading by example. That you look at people in the eye, that they walk away feeling like that was their experience.
Right.
There are some times when I'm thinking about something and not thinking, and people will walk up and say, "Hey, who are you?" And then you say, "Oh,
yeah, right."
And then you have to switch your head and say, "I'm Maria. Nice to meet you." Yep. And then you realize it's their experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure to be able to talk to people.
Absolutely. I've always had that theory that if you don't want to talk to other people, then stay home.
Yeah. Yes.
Those are the people paying your salary.
Right. Yes.
Maria, this is so fun, and we're gonna do more chatting. Okay. But first, we have this thing, we call it our Focus Technology Fast Five.
Okay.
So we ask 5 questions in 30 seconds. You have to answer them, and if you don't,
I have to answer them.
Well, if you don't, please don't ask me to, tell you what happens thereafter. But Focus Technology Fast 5. Focus Technology is your trusted IT partner for cybersecurity, cloud, and managed services. All right, my friend, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let me just take a sip of this water.
All right. This is our Fast 5. First question, most embarrassing moment on television.
Oh, I have it. You ready? I had a suit jacket on. and my top. Oh, I love the timer. This is amazing. I had a top button, and the camera comes out to David Wade, me, sitting there, and I said, blah, 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 blah. There's a 3-alarm fire, whatever it was, and I said, good evening, everybody. I'm Maria Stephanos. And as I was saying, I'm Maria Stephanos, the top button popped off on television, which exposed me, and I said, now we go out live to blah, 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 blah. That was not a good moment, but I recovered.
You did. The
entire
so
8 block, which you know what that is, the very first 10 minutes, I did this.
You were fighting it the rest of the time. That's so hard. What's your favorite charity that you work for?
Oh,
do you have a favorite?
Yes, I have. Okay. I have so many favorite charities. I do a lot for ALS, and I do a lot for the Angel Fund, and really, Kim, I do a lot of charities, and they're all close to my heart. So I don't want to say favorite.
It's all good.
But I'm doing something for the Sunshine Kids. There are so many amazing charities.
That's such a great thing. Tell me about what's a fun night for you.
A fun night for me is cooking in the kitchen, not going out, and just having a mess of a kitchen. And I have a 1970s kitchen, okay? I do not... all my cabinets are falling off. This is the truth. I just never get around to changing my kitchen. Sure. I love cooking Greek food more than life itself. Let me tell you, that's my night. So next question: what's your favorite Greek dish? Everything. That's an easy. Spanikopita, baklava, tiropita, pasticcio, you name it. Say it. I love it. I love cooking Greek food, and I love eating Greek food. Finally, what is downtime for you? What's the best vacation downtime? The best vacation? It's just being in my house. I mean that. And I've been to a lot of amazing places. It's being in my house, in my kitchen. All the kids are back at home. Yep. My husband's there, and I'm feeding them like a Greek mother. Yep. That's my... Not like a Greek mother. You are a Greek mother. Yes, I am. Proud. Very good. Very good. All right. That was our Fast Five with Maria Stephanos. You were terrific. I want to ask you these questions. This is very difficult to sit here. Isn't it? Isn't it hard? It's hard to be on the other side. There's no two ways about it. Hey, listen, I'm so excited about our next guest, and you know who it is. So we're going to be joined by a woman who's been a journalist. She's an author. She, of course, has been a television host. She was on Good Morning America for... Legendary. 2 decades. Legendary. 2 decades. She grew up right in front of America. She really did. Joan Lunden is our guest when we come back. This is Kerrigan and Company. It's baseball season, so are you headed to Fenway anytime soon? If so, you've got to stop by the newest A&B Burger location at Time Out Market, Boston. You can get your favorite burgers at A&B's new quick-serve restaurant, which is located at 401 Park Drive. Time Out Market Boston is located in the buzzing Fenway neighborhood, and A&B is the latest and the best restaurant to join this creatively curated dining destination. A trip to Fenway, whether you're headed to a game or maybe you just like the vibe in the area, isn't complete without stopping by A&B Burger at Time Out Market Boston. Head to A&B Burger at Time Out Market Boston's Fenway neighborhood today. You'll be glad you did. Do you know what generative AI is and how your company can ensure employees are more productive? Focus Technology can help you master the use of Microsoft's newest tool, Copilot. This powerful tool can help your team speed up many of their daily tasks by enabling hands-on learning directly with the software. It can summarize long emails, generate drafts of long documents, and search for answers to key questions. Copilot represents a unique opportunity for businesses to accelerate their understanding of what generative AI can deliver for their company. Contact Focus Technology today to learn more at FocusTSI.com and bring your organization into the AI revolution. That's FocusTSI.com. Ladies, I love a great dress, especially now that the weather's finally warming up. Whether I'm looking for a casual sundress during the day or a long, flouncy dress for the evening, I head to All Chic at 152 in Marblehead, Massachusetts. They have new dresses from designers in Europe and right here in the States arriving every day. Whether you like a mini or a maxi or something in between, All Chic has you covered. So take a day trip to Marblehead for some fabulous dress shopping. No matter your style, All Chic at 152 has you covered. That's All Chic at 152 Washington Street in Marblehead.
This segment of Kerrigan and Company is brought to you by Lucia Lighting and Design, where people in the know go for the best possible lighting and design experience. Welcome back, everyone, to Kerrigan and Company. It is so great to have you with us today. Of course, presented by A&B Burger. And I am so happy to have my co-host with me. Maria Stephanos is with me from WCVB. And Maria, it's not very often that you get a chance to chat with someone like you and I are about to, especially with the background that we have. Right?
I mean, legend.
Absolutely.
And that's the truth.
Yeah, and that is truth. Sometimes people you throw that around a little too often. That's not the case here.
Not in our business.
Certainly a trailblazer. Joan Lunden is with us. Joan is, of course, a journalist. She's an author, and she was the co-host of Good Morning America for almost 2 decades, Joan. Congratulations. I said to Maria, she was in the same television station for 18 years, which is unheard of. But to be on morning TV for 2 decades is amazing.
And I never would have dreamed, like when I think I was 27 maybe when I first started working at Good Morning America. I became the official co-host in 1980, so I was 30. So I started like really just a few months after the show went on the air. And I never would have dreamed at that time that I would have been there for 2 decades, ever.
Well, it was fantastic. I said to Maria earlier in the show, we literally watched you grow up on TV.
Right.
Yes. It's so funny because when I'm out and about, I always have these, young people, like these young boys will come up and say, I watched you when I was a kid.
Oh, yes. We've heard that.
I watched
Believe
you
me.
all the time growing up. And I want to say, dude, I was a kid too. I was 27. I was right up in front of all of you.
Oh, that's good.
That is so true, though. That is so true. How did you do morning TV for such a long time? I did it for 9 or 10 years, and boy, that was a lot.
Yeah, it really does take a toll. It's interesting because I got up every morning about 3:15, 3:30. Mm-hmm. I was always out of the house by 4 because you had to be in that seat getting hair and makeup by 5. So you'd be ready, and the producers will come in with the script changes, and you like at 7 o'clock, and that's why I'm like the most punctual person in the world because, like, you couldn't sit down in that chair at 7:01 or 7:02.
We know that.
It had to be 7 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So, and when I left Good Morning America, I was like 98 or something like that. And I remember I was shooting behind closed doors at a show which I started on ABC, primetime specials. And as I left ABC, I sold it to A&E as a weekly primetime series. And I remember my producers called me and said, and that's where I took everybody behind the closed doors of being an F-18 pilot or of being a Navy SEAL. And I would go and I would do all this training with them. And then I would actually, there was a guy a long time ago, I don't know if you guys could remember, George Plimpton. Yeah. And he used to have a TV show and he would like become a Dallas cheerleader, like crazy things like that. And you'd see him do it. That's where I got the idea. And I told ABC, I don't want to do a show about these people. I want to go through the training and live it as an experience so the viewer at home really gets to see what it's like from inside the cockpit, taking off in that F-18 and landing on the aircraft carrier. So we were always going to Washington to ask some government agency to do our next, what my husband affectionately calls my stupid human trick. And we were going into the Pentagon, and I was trying to get into, I don't know, Fort Knox or tanker training, whatever. And I remember I got off the plane at like 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 or 7. I'd taken the first flight from New York to Washington. And I was walking out of the airport, across the parking lot. And I said to my assistant, God, I'm so exhausted. And she said, well, yeah, you woke up like really early to catch this flight. I said, no, that's not the point. This is how I used to feel all the time. Mm-hmm. And I thought that it was my natural state of being. Mm-hmm. And I'm just realizing in this moment that this is really exhausted. This is how I'm really exhausted.
Yes.
But I mean, it takes a toll. And I sometimes look back and think, God, I had 3 babies.
Yes.
Practically on the air. I mean,
Yes.
like raised them there at the show. Like, is that possible? And I was like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess I did that.
You know, I say to people all the time that I spent the full 9 years just always trying to figure out how I could get enough sleep to get to the next day.
Yep.
And I'll never forget my youngest was about 3, and I knew that things were really upside down when I got into bed one night and she came in and started rubbing my cheek and said, "Night-night, Mommy." And I thought, she's putting me to bed. This cannot be right. This is
what,
unnatural.
Kim, I remember one time when my daughter Jamie, who is now 43.
Right.
And I mean, she was my first baby. That's who I got the contract with ABC to bring her to work with me. And I remember when she was a young girl, I would go in and I would try to lie down and read books to her, but of course you fall asleep.
Right.
And then she woke me up one time and said, "Mommy, you need to go into your bed and go to sleep and let your mind rewind for tomorrow."
Wow, that's a smart child.
This kid is watching too many videotapes.
That's terrific. Joan, let's talk about the other part of you, which is Joan the author. You've written, I think I'm right, 10 books, correct?
I was told that you were going to talk to me about this. So,
Okay.
here we are.
Oh, there you go. Look
They're
at
the
this.
10 books that I've written. So, I mean, I'd only been on GMA, like, I don't know, like not long enough to be writing an autobiography. But this publisher, Putnam, came to me and said, "You need to write a book." And so I wrote Good Morning, I'm Joan Lunden. So I was getting this ready to show you, and I turned it over. This is what says on the back. It was written by Irma Bombeck.
Oh.
A Joan Lunden doll is every little girl's dream. Wind it up, and it balances a daily network TV show, a cable show on mothers, lectures, public appearances, home, husband, and 2 children. The book reveals what makes Joan run and how far she came to get there. She's a prototype for women of the 80s, because that's when this book came out, who want it all without sacrificing integrity and the importance of family life. That was in 1983.
Wow.
Then
That's why she's a trailblazer for us.
You
realize
know it.
that.
Absolutely.
Because, in 1983, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted
too.
to be able to balance it all and do it all. And
you did it.
You did. And I got to tell you, the woman sitting next to me did it all as well. I mean, it's not an easy climb for women. It's not.
it's not.
No.
And it was especially not back then.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, I remember I had a book agent back then, and I would write a book, and it would be a bestseller and sell a lot, and the publishers come to you and say, "Write another book." And I remember saying to him, I think I squeezed every last drop out of my brain, like, what am I going to write about? He said, "You will always write about that which you want to know more about." And it's interesting because when I was turning 40, I had these 3 babies, and I had what I affectionately call baby weight. That's all the weight you didn't lose from having 3 babies. And I mean, I was a great camouflage dresser, but I knew I had to be more fit and healthy. I was turning 40. I also knew I was about to divorce.
So
I knew I was going to be back out on the market. So I wrote a book about losing all the weight. And they said, "Well, why don't you include all the recipes that you've been eating while you've been losing the weight? People will like that." But the last line of the book is my favorite. It says,
by the way, she looks like Princess Diana on the cover.
I hope you find this book
She
helpful
does.
on your own journey to fitness, and that in the end, you too will believe that anything is possible. After all, I wrote a cookbook.
Good line. Good line.
And then,
that's
I mean,
fantastic.
like, it's funny because
great.
after I lost all the weight, then I decided to get fit, and then I decided to be more mindful. And then I left GMA, and I had to deal with that incredible change in front of the whole world.
Yeah.
So I wrote, "A bend in the road is not the end of the road." So far, that book agent was 100% right.
Yeah.
Then I wrote, because I was having 2 sets of twins, and this publisher, Atria, came to me and said, "You interviewed this doctor, this pediatric nutritionist on your show a decade ago, and it became a bestseller. he did this great study, and we want you to pair with him. And I said, sure. And that publisher didn't know I was about to have my first set of twins through a surrogate. So we put the Kate and Max on the cover of that. And I learned a lot about childhood nutrition.
Sure.
Then I was taking care of my mom as she was aging. So I wrote 2 books with Chicken Soup for the Soul. This one's all about motherhood and thanks, Mom. And this one's all about family caregivers. Then guess what I was doing next?
You were feeling a little older.
Okay, I was aging. I was like driving while aging. So I wrote, why did I come into this room?
Well, Maria and I have both read that book. And
be in your pants laughing?
Well, that's
genuinely. And we had a whole newsroom full of these books. And I said, what is that? And it screamed to me. Yeah. It didn't speak to me. It screamed to me. I tell you, Joan, that was an easy, important, fun read. I loved it.
Have you shared it? Because I have to tell you, I read it about 2 weeks ago, and then I've shared it with one friend. She read it, and she had to give it back to me before today, and so I have it back, and I'm going to share it again with a few others.
It's one of those books. That's right.
It is. What I love, Joan, is right off the top of it too. When you talk about the idea that, why do we have to judge everything off the year we were born? Mm-hmm. If we feel good, why does that matter so much?
And by the way, every article ever, just keep an eye on this. If it's an article about a man, they don't oversay so-and-so age and then what he did. Right. If it's about a woman, invariably it will say their age.
Yes.
It's just something that our society does. And, I started because I'm a disseminator of information. That's what I do in the world. And I always wanted to be a doctor because my dad was a doctor, and I always thought I grew up to be a doctor. And maybe it's like one of those little niggly little in the back of your brain regrets. But I discovered that going into the world of broadcasting, that you don't need a scalpel to help people stay healthy. Right. Disseminating information that will allow them to make more informed, healthy decisions, and maybe even really realize that they actually need to go to a doctor. Mm-hmm. That's really important. So I love imparting all of this information. My husband always says, I don't get it. Like, you can go out and make 3 speeches and you'll make as much as you make on a book. And I said, yeah, but that book sits on their
That's right. That's
and
right.
They go back to it. And
you pass it around to other friends, and then friends sit around and talk about it,
But this one's not only packed with information. I remember I've done some of these books with a good friend, Laura Morton, and I called her and said, would you help write this book with me? Oh, I forgot to put in here, Had I Known. That was actually the book I wrote before this. It's all about my breast cancer journey. Mm-hmm. And she said, wait a minute, let me get this straight. I wrote the last book with you about breast cancer, and I ended up being diagnosed with breast cancer on the day it was published. Now you want me to write a book with you about aging? Hell no.
Oh, no.
She said, you know how to write books, Joan. This is going to be your 10th book. Open the laptop and give yourself permission to be funny, because you have to have a sense of humor if you're going to write about hot flashes and leaky bladders.
Oh, yes, for sure.
That's so true.
I never had more fun than writing this book.
Good.
Like coming up with chapter titles. On leaky bladders, I think I laughed so hard, tears rolled down my leg.
Right.
Yes, so.
I had fun, and I just said, I'm going to talk about all the times that I had all these issues, because that's part of getting through to people, is sharing that you went through this too.
Yes.
And people find such comfort in that. Just knowing that they're not going through something alone, that someone else that they actually watch on TV is going through the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I really wanted to accomplish with that book.
Well, you have done so. The name of it is Why Did I Come Into This Room? Candid Conversation About Aging. Joan, you have been so fun, so open. We could stay all day.
Yes,
and
we
chat.
could.
And I thank you so much for being a part of the show today. I wish we had much more time. Unfortunately, we've got to get Maria off to work today, so she's got to get on the air. But we thank you for being a part of this, and thank you for being.
My autobiography comes out. I'm
Okay.
Are you writing one?
Oh, yeah. I'm almost finished.
Fantastic. Well, as soon as that is out, then maybe we can get you to Boston so you can come to the studio.
Spring.
Okay. I'd like to get you here, okay?
After the election cycle.
Okay. Yeah. Let all the noise calm down just a bit, right?
Yeah.
Joan Lunden, thank you so much again
Thank
for
you,
being
Joan.
here.
Thank you.
Bye, ladies.
Wow. That's too fun.
That was great. Great. And she's as real as you hope that she is. That the person that we have seen so many on television for so many years, she's the real deal.
She is. Her persona is exactly who you think she is. All right. We've got one more guest.
All right, I'm ready.
Join us. And again, another one of these strong women who has had an interesting career path that has led her, she says, right where she wants to be. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Kerrigan and Company. Longer days that melt into warm summer nights. It's my favorite time of year. You know, I love to spend time on my patio with family and friends, or just curled up in a chair with a good book. However, you can't read or entertain in the dark. That's where my friends at Lucia Lighting and Design come in. Whether you're changing fixtures to enhance the beauty of your property or thinking about safety and security, the experts at Lucia Lighting will help you find the perfect outdoor lighting for you. Get started by scrolling through their website at lucialighting.com and then make an appointment to visit their magnificent showroom located in Lynn, Massachusetts. Comfy, stylish shoes are a must for the summer months. All Chic at 152 in Marblehead just expanded their shoe department. You'll find sandals for day and night, sneakers with a little dazzle, or a dressier shoe for evenings out. Whether you like a flat or a fabulous wedge, All Chic has a big selection at great prices. Hey, and while you're at it, check out their colorful handbags. You'll find crossbody, straw, and tote bags, great for all summer outings. All Chic at 152 in Marblehead, Massachusetts. Take it from me, it's elevated fashion for every budget. That's All Chic at 152.
If you like rum, you're going to love Rumson's Rum, New England's most award-winning rum brand. Rumson creates distinctive and savory flavor profiles by hand-selecting and marrying the finest barrel-aged Caribbean rums. The spirits are then blended and finished in the New England Rum House. Choose from Rumson's Gold, Spice, Grand Reserve, or Coffee Rum, which is smooth and sweet with a warm roasted coffee flavor, a hint of vanilla, and a decadent buttery finish. Find Rumson's at liquor stores or ask for it at your favorite restaurant. Learn more at rumsons.com. That's rumsons.com. Rumsons. Life lived, life enjoyed.
This segment of Kerrigan and Company is brought to you by Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater. Get your tickets to Fiddler on the Roof, playing June 4th through June 16th at nmst.org. You're listening to Kerrigan and Company. We're so glad that you chose us. It's presented by A&B Burger. Keeping me company today, of course, is Maria Stephanos from WCVB. We just chatted with Joan Lunden. She looks so good.
She looked amazing. She is as clear and as beautiful as she was when she was 27 when she first started.
Maria, you and I both know she's got stories that are just, can you imagine the stories that she has?
Incredible.
So, yeah, very fun to get a chance to talk with her, and very fun to talk to our next guest as well.
Oh, yes.
Abby Bielagus is the editor-in-chief at Boston Common Magazine.
That's amazing.
It is,
You're the
Abby.
Editor-in-chief.
Abby.
You're laughing. That's awesome.
No, it's a big deal. And I got to tell you, so I waited until we got on the air to chat about this. Our executive producer said to you, Kim's been doing a little research on you. My daughter graduated with a degree in magazine journalism. Oh. And she fought for one solid year to get a job in the magazine world and didn't get there, and has gone off on another path and will eventually bring herself back, which brings me to Abby, because Abby, I think you have said many places that it's been tough and that you were off the path and then you got back on. So tell everybody about your journey to this editor-in-chief position.
Yeah, so I grew up, I think like so many of us in a certain time period, loving the glossy page, just loving magazines, obsessed with them. My mom is so irritated with me because I still have like all my 17 magazines.
I love my 17 magazine.
But she's like, can you get rid of these? 'Cause they're like in my childhood
You're too young for
bedroom.
17 magazine, but go ahead.
And yeah, I thought, it was something I always wanted to do, but after college, it's so hard. I got a job originally at the Boston Phoenix.
My husband used to work there. Thank you very much.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh. I was like in such awe of everyone because it was like such a real like newsroom with reporters.
gritty.
Yeah. I remember they had a smoking room at the time. I don't even know if I could say that.
Oh, you can say it.
But I was like so, I don't know if cocky is the right word or just naive or just uneducated. I thought I'd get there and immediately start writing stories, And it was like, no, you're answering the telephone and delivering mail because I was just an editorial assistant. And so I still to this day regret that I didn't just stick it out. But at the time I was like, I'm not delivering mail, like I thought. And so, but of course it's impossible to get a job in media, especially print media, even then. So I didn't get anything. I went into book publishing and then I quit everything and became a fashion stylist for a while. But it was funny, a kind of funny turn of events because I ended up doing some copywriting on the side when I was styling and got some clients that way. And I was styling a fashion feature for Boston Magazine, and they knew about my publishing background, so they would have me write, just little copy blurbs to go along with like whatever I was styling. Sure. And through that, it was sort of, I was there one day and they said they needed a lifestyle editor, and I was like, hire me. And they were like, actually, okay. I mean, I had to go through like
it's always that story too.
Right.
Hire me.
It is.
And they go, okay.
All right.
Yeah. And it was me slightly joking, like didn't, it's a little bit of imposter syndrome, like didn't think I actually had the qualifications to get that job. And I did have to go through the entire interview process and it, but in the end I did get the job. And then from there I became the editor at Boston Common in 2019, which was so great. And then 2020, I got laid off because obviously of COVID, they had to consolidate their editorial staff. And then this past year, they were able to bring the editors back into their markets. And so they offered me the job back.
Right. That explains it because as I've researched you, I've tried to figure out because you were editor-in-chief, then you weren't, and then you were, and now you've explained it. So thank you very much.
Yes.
COVID did that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, broadcast is tough. Print is really, really tough.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about, how you guys are staying afloat and how you survive in the world of print.
Yeah, we're actually doing well. I mean, as you know, editorial and sales is kept a bit like church and state, so I don't always know what's going on that end of things. But I can tell, obviously, from like how we're spending money, where we're spending money. We just opened a new title in Nashville, which is great. So there's expansion. So they are, I think in print today you sort of have to find creative ways, obviously, because no one has quite figured out how to monetize it. And so,
we're so busy in our phones, using our fingers and scrolling through.
Yes.
But to me, and I don't work in print, but to sit and read a magazine and put your hands on the pages and turn it.
Well, and they're beautiful, right?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's I love it. I think we should need to go back to the basics because we cherish the pages instead of just ignoring them. Okay, sorry.
Yes. No, thank you so much for saying that. I think that's true, and I hope that there's sort of a pendulum swing back.
There is.
Things that are tactile, like I feel like vinyl is back in a lot of ways.
It's so true.
And and I do think that people that love magazines are always going to want the glossy page. You just will. And I have heard from some clients that, there's still nothing like having like your ad in a magazine as opposed to online.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think, I don't think they're going anywhere. I think that they are still here to stay. Thank goodness for now.
Well, I think the fittest survive. I mean, I think we've started to sort of get rid of some things, but that's the way of the world, right?
Yeah,
the fittest does survive.
Yeah.
Talk about Boston Common magazine. I remember when Boston Common first started.
Me
you do too. Because we worked for a man who his brother was the publisher.
Was this when it was niche media then still?
I believe it was at that point, right. But talk to us about the magazine because I think it's awesome. It's so fun.
It's great. I mean, it sounds so cheesy, but it is really like the dream the job that I did dream of in a lot of
Well,
ways.
it's all the things put in one for you, like how you just described it. Yeah,
exactly. It's the writing, it's the editing, but there's still that fashion element there. And the people that I work with are so great. We have a new publisher, Janelle Driscoll, who has been in Boston for a while. She was worked at actually Boston Common Magazine, excuse me, at the start of her career in sales, and then she went off. She had her own company in PR, and now she's back as the publisher. So that's really fun because we've known each other in different roles throughout our time, and it's so fun to be able to be sort of at the helm with her.
Sure.
And then I also edit Interiors Boston, which is the home publication. And we have an amazing publisher there, Tess Woods. So it's just like all these great, super smart, super dynamic women that are just like bringing this new energy into everything. And they know the city so well, and they know all the players, and they know how to respect editorial, and obviously do their job in sales. So it's been really fun. And I feel like I remember when Boston Common, when I was at Boston Magazine, obviously I knew of Boston Common, and I feel like we're bringing it back to those days a little bit. Like we're doing a lot of really fun, flashy events. We're, going after, I don't know, just getting people in town, I think, like reinvigorated in the publication and reinvested in it. So
that's your enthusiasm for it is infectious. I will tell you, it's really terrific. Thanks. And it's impressive that you are so excited about it, and that makes me excited about it for you and about the magazine. One of the things that I love about that magazine is that it's a magazine that I think especially all women, you look at because there's a whole lot of things in there that maybe you can't do or you're not going to do or you can't have.
You can live through that.
But you live through the magazine, and I still love that. I still love that.
Definitely. And I think that's another thing about magazines that isn't going away is that aspirational reality, right? Like getting lost in that glossy page is harder to do digitally, I think.
Really hard to do.
There's something about the beautiful photograph that you just can dream of a life that's
that you're never going to have on that level, but you appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the dream, that's it.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
This edition that's out is the Power Player. Is that right?
That is right.
So talk to us a little bit about who's in the magazine. I think you chose 50 individuals.
Yes.
Who's in the magazine and how you choose them?
So this was really fun because, as you know, Boston Magazine, Boston Common, we've been doing these sort of like power players lists for years, and no shade to anyone, but it is often the same people that make the list, right? I mean, Boston ultimately is sort of a small town, and so we know the people everyone's always talking about. And so we wanted to do something different this time around, and we decided to focus on just the areas of sports and entertainment for this city, because I think those are the things that Boston is so beloved for, our sports teams, and we're getting to have such an amazing, vibrant food scene here too, and like the bars and, Big Night Live and all that stuff. Right. And oftentimes the people on those lists, again, no shade, but it's like, a lot of business execs or like tech people and things like that, which obviously Boston has in spades as well. But I think one thing that makes Boston special is our sports teams, and there's not like a ton of real estate in the magazine to talk about them that much because we are a luxury publication, right? So this was a fun way to be like, let's take these two industries that don't often get the same sort of shout out and showcase them. And so that's where we focus. So it was really fun to sort of do a deep dive and highlight some people that are just as influential and powerful in the city but don't always make these lists.
Fantastic. That's so great. So give me two names.
Oh my gosh, that is so hard to do.
Kim,
okay,
it's so mean.
You.
It's so mean.
So you.
You pick two of your favorites.
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do favorites.
Here, I'll help you.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm like,
okay.
So
you have the
she's
list.
saving you.
Here you go.
Well, I was gonna say, one. Okay, so
Maybe you should probably say that name.
I should say Joe Kane.
From where?
Absolutely. Big Night
Big Night,
Entertainment.
right.
Yeah, we actually featured all three of the Big Night guys because...
Randy, Joe, and Ed.
Yep, exactly, because they are clearly so integral in what is, in the city. And then, I was afraid I was going to butcher her last name, but Kathy Seidel, who has... Salty Girl. She's been in the industry for 30 years. And talk about another tough thing, being a female restaurant owner in the city. So her, Tiffany Faison is another one who's been
she's great.
Helping to build up Fenway and owning all these restaurants. Also, I'm going to butcher her name too, but there's Comfort Kitchen in Dorchester, which has been...
I just ate there.
You did? How was it?
Unbelievable.
I really want to go.
What a vibe in there, too.
Is it? I've never been, so I got to try it.
I know, I really want to go. And it's, it's obviously BIPOC owned, female owned. So being able to
right.
That's what I think was really fun about this list is being able to showcase and highlight, specifically when I say people who don't have to make these lists, sometimes women and people of color, quite frankly.
Right.
And so that was really fun to be able to do.
Well, it's Boston Common Magazine. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're going to bring, I think, a life to that magazine that it has needed, a young vibe, which is fantastic.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice
I'm excited for your future. I can't wait to see how the magazine goes.
And thank you so much for having me. And as I was saying before we were live, you two have totally been heroes to me in this
you're so
crazy media world. No, it's so true. And I thank you for everything that you've done. And
Joan said that she has, what she believes are young men, and they're probably men now in their 40s and 50s, come up to him and say, I watched you and you're on TV.
Right.
And the two of us are both and this is now happening to us on a regular basis. And now,
I used to
Abby,
watch
you've
when
come
I was
in.
little. Thanks. Thanks for dating me. Appreciate that.
You've got 4 kids now. I'm so glad.
It's what it is. I love it.
But it's so hard to, keep the career going for so long in some of these industries.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Kudos.
And you're just at the beginning. You're going to have great success. We know
thank
it.
you so
Abby,
much.
thanks for being a part of the show.
Thank you so
really
much.
appreciate it. All right. We'll take a break, everybody. This is Kerrigan and Company.
A celebration of life, love, laughter, and Fiddler on the Roof is on stage at Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater from June 4th through June 16th. Tickets at nsmt.org.
If you're looking for the latest and best technologies for skincare treatment, look no further than Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Sienna offers Botox, fillers, hydrofacials, and anti-aging facials, chemical peels, acne facials, microneedling with radio frequency, laser hair removal, and so much more. The fully certified medical staff at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly will be with you every step of the way, making the process both educational and relaxing. Book your appointment now at siennaaesthetics.com. That's siennaaesthetics.com. This segment of Kerrigan and Company is brought to you by Sienna Aesthetics Medical Spa. Take years off your face with the very latest technologies at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Well, it's time to wrap things up here on this edition of Kerrigan and Company, brought to us by A&B Burger. Keeping me company today has been my good friend, Maria Stephanos from WCVB. This has been fun, hasn't it?
From WCVB, yes. For one hot second, I was going back to the days that we were together. Yes,
You know, when we work together, we didn't see each other very often, though. Because
you were morning.
Yeah, and you were at the end of the day. We would cross over once in a while in the green room.
Right.
And then we'd get all caught up. You know, where the kids were, what everybody was doing, whatever, and then we'd go our separate ways.
You really are, and I know that I'm not supposed to say this because this is your podcast, but you're such a pro. You who are listening, you have no idea what this woman does. There's no script in front of her. You've always been that. Such a professional. You're elegant, and you listen, and that's the key to. That's the thing, and you have that talent, Kim, and I miss it on television. come back to television. Except this is pretty awesome.
I was going to say, I'm going to get teary-eyed here, and then you're going to have to close this out.
No, but it's true because you really are. I mean, you are old school journalist, tradition. You're a professional. You always look amazing.
That's
but
nice
you
of you to say.
care about what you're doing. Okay, I know you're going to cut
much.
this, but I don't care.
Thank you very much.
I had to say it.
Let me ask you one final question.
Okay.
I always like to ask my co-host a final question in the end. We established the fact that you have done this for
30 years.
30 years, right, exactly. What's next?
What's next?
And I don't think it's soon, but I'm just curious. Do you think about what'll happen after this?
Yes, I think that I need to cook for people. I want to have a little food truck, and I want to drive around. I'm not kidding.
I'm sure you're not.
And I want to be able to cook the food and then have people walk up to the food truck and sell my food and eat my food. That's what I want to do. I want to drive around in a food truck, and a Greek food truck.
I absolutely love that.
Thank you.
I love that you have an idea.
Oh, I do.
And it's one I think that would make you very, very happy.
I think it would make me really happy. You have no idea. Imagine if I could do the news driving my food truck and feeding the world.
I know.
This is amazing.
Forget about the world. How about you just drive your food truck right to my driveway?
You got it. That is a deal. I will do that.
I do have to. I've never taken part in one of these big dinner parties of all this great food. You got to promise me one.
I promise.
Okay.
Whatever you like, I'll make it for you just special.
I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a part of my podcast.
This is beautiful.
Really
Wonderful.
appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, great studio.
Thank you very, very much. Hope everybody's enjoyed it. Be sure you check it out wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you again very soon. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Kerrigan and Company. To find out who will keep me company and be my co-host on the next episode, be sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Kerrigan and Company is recorded at the Big Night Studios at the TD Garden in Boston. You can view the podcast on YouTube and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure you tell a friend. The executive producer of Kerrigan and Company is David Thompson. Our engineer is Peter Hurley, and our social media managers are Grace Kerrigan, Colby Thompson, and Riley Thompson. See you next time.